KOTLC, Chapter 8, Keef. So, Keef thought, mentally dragging out the word. I guess this means you're still talking to me. Funny, Sophie transmitted. I was about to say the same thing to you. Keith winced. What's wrong? Ro asked. Need me to get Elvin? He shook his head. Ro leaned closer. Then why do you look all sweaty and nervous? Keith shrugged. Ro gritted her teeth. If you don't start talking soon, I'm going to tie you up in the blankets and use you for tackling practice. He shrugged again, earning a growl that rattled the walls. Are you still there? Sophie transmitted in a soft, worried tone that made Keith imagine her tugging on her eyelashes. Yeah, sorry, Ro was distracting me. He smirked at his bodyguard as he sat up and tried to fix his hair, then wanted to smack himself since it wasn't like Sophie could see him. And it was a good thing she couldn't, because whoa, he didn't realize his hair could bend that many different directions at the same time. He was also pretty sure the tingling in his cheek was from big red pillow creases. He had tunneled under his blankets after Dex left, and he had been there ever since, tossing and turning and flailing, and thrashing and generally feeling sorry for himself. Elvin had bought him dinner at some point, something he called cosmic explosion, with all kinds of weird, colorful fruits cut into stars and moons and planets and suns. It even had sparkly silver dust sprinkled on the top, and it tasted as amazing as it looked. But Keith had only been able to choke down a few bites before his insides knotted up. So, how are you doing? Sophie asked. Oh, he wanted to tell her he was great, convince her that things were already going back to normal. But then she might want to visit. I've been better, he said, flopping back into his pillow. He pulled his blankets over his head before he added the words he didn't even like admitting to himself. I think this ability is getting stronger. I almost used a command on Dex today. Twice. Several seconds crawled by before Sophie asked, But you didn't, right? Yeah, I fought it off, but it was a struggle. What was the command? I'm not sure. I couldn't let myself acknowledge the word because I knew if I did, I'd have to say it. More painful seconds. Then Sophie told him, Well, that sounds like a good news. Keith snorted a laugh. You're cute when you try to be optimistic, Foster, but we both know if I were there, I'd be seeing that little crinkle you get between your eyebrows when you're worried. You're reaching up to smooth it right now, aren't you? Actually, I'm rolling my eyes. You don't have to get rid of the power, Keith. You just have to learn how to control it. And that's what you did today, right? Keith couldn't bring himself to agree. He wasn't ready to feel optimistic, not when his throat hurt from the words he had choked back, and his stomach hurt from all the failed medicines, and his head hurt from the constant emotional overload, and his heart hurt worse than anything. At least he could do something about the last one. I haven't said I'm sorry yet, have I? He asked, quietly. No, Sophie admitted. But you don't. Yes, I do. He pulled his blankets tighter around himself, into a cocoon of shame. I'm really sorry, Sophie. I didn't mean to make it seem like I don't want to be around you, or like I think any of this is your fault. I definitely don't. Endless silence followed. When Sophie finally responded, the thought was barely a whisper. It kinda seems like you do. I mean, you hung out with Dex. I wouldn't call it hanging out, he corrected. It was more like he lectured me and I fought the urge to use some creepy command on him. And he was only here because I'm hoping he might be able to make me a gadget like those fingernails Tinker made for you. But, for my voice. Oh, that's an awesome idea. She sounded so sweetly hopeful when she added, Does Dex think he can make something? He wasn't sure, but he's going to try. And I guess Elvin and Kessler are working on some elixir that might help too. He decided not to mention the whole ability restrictor option, since he had a feeling Sophie would hate that idea even more than Dex did, and he wouldn't blame her. Plus, he was trying to apologize. So, are we okay? He asked carefully. Or do I need to do some begging? I will. I'll even write an apology poem if I have to. I just need to figure out what rhymes with total jerk face. Her mental voice somehow carried her laughter. I think I'm good. That wasn't very convincing. Apology poem it is. Imagine me clearing my throat now for dramatic effect. And forgive me, Lady Foster, I never meant to make you mad. I wasn't mad, Sophie interrupted. Fine, we'll switch it to sad. Is that better? Sort of. It was more like, I don't know. It just felt like you didn't want to be my friend anymore. Keith sank deeper into his cocoon of shame. I know, I felt that when you left, and it totally killed me. I didn't know what else to do. I need a little more time to get control of whatever this ability is. Then, I promise, I'll be around so much you'll be trying to find ways to get rid of me. And I'll be like, no way, Team Foster Keith is forever. He could tell she was smiling when she said, I hope so. So did he, but they didn't need to have his doubt in the mix. So he told her, no need to hope, Foster. That will definitely be happening. I may even get us tunics that say, Foster Keith is back and better than ever. And Ro yanked back the blanket over Keith's head. You're doing that elfie mind trick thing to talk to your pretty little blondie, aren't you? I knew it. It's like I can feel the angst cloud lifting. So I'm guessing you're groveled enough to get her. Do you forgive her? Keith reluctantly nodded. Thank all the sparkles for that. Now you just need to tell her you're helplessly in love with her so she can be like. Rose shifted her voice up an octave and clasped her hands against her heart. Oh, hunky hair, I never realized you felt that way, even though it was ridiculously obvious to everyone else. And I've been in love with you forever. I just didn't know it because I'm super oblivious. I'm sorry I wasted so much time crushing on Captain Perfect. Come here, let's do all the smooching ever. She followed that with the kissing sounds, and Keith opened his mouth to tell Ro exactly where she could go. But he caught himself at the last second. Gah! I almost had you. She slumped into a dramatic sigh. Fine. Get back to your little blondie before she starts worrying that you're ignoring her. Sorry, Keith told Sophie. Ro distracted me again. I figured. Everything okay? Oh yeah, I'm just going to need some to find some prank elixirs to punish her. I'm sure Elvin must have a stash somewhere. I'd be stunned if he didn't. What's his house like? Super Alviny, in some ways, mellower than I expected in others. He almost added, you'll have to see it sometime, but that would probably bring back the awkwardness. So he went with a safer, definitely way better than being stuck with Daddy Dearest. Yeah, I bet. And that reminds me, I don't suppose you have any idea why your dad would get all weird about the term merged abilities, do you? No, but what do you mean by weird? It's probably easier if I show you. Her memory crashed into his mind in a loud, vivid detail as he found himself grinning at her snarky comebacks even as his stomach turned extra churny at the sight of his dad. Keith had always disliked his father, but that dislike was slowly morphing into fist clenching hate, and he couldn't decide if he wanted to grab his dad and shake him as hard as he could or punch him dead in his face. Everything okay, hunky hair? Ro asked. You're giving a little twitchy. You haven't wrecked things with Blondie, have you? Keith shook his head. To Sophie, he added, yeah, I have no clue what that was all about, but you can bet Daddio and I will be talking about it soon as it's safe for me to do that. Or maybe before. He definitely wouldn't feel guilty about numbing his father, though his father was such a cold, emotionless shell, it probably wouldn't make any difference. You'll let me know if you find out more, he asked. Of course, though we are not really focusing on him right now. He tried not to let that we sting, but of course his brain had to remind him that she was talking about Fitzpee time. But that was good. Fitz had botched things majorly, but he definitely still cared. So hopefully he'd get his act together and figure out how to be kind of boyfriend that Foster deserved. He had a way better chance of pulling that off than Keith ever would. You okay? Sophie asked, and Keith tried to shove those thoughts away, hoping he hadn't accidentally let her hear any of them. Yep, all good. So, what are you and the Fitzster working on? He wished he hadn't asked when she told him. Well, we really need to find Kendrick's cache. It was the mistake that kept on giving. The betrayal Keith never seemed to be able to fix. Got any good leads? He asked. Pretty sure he already knew the answer. Not really, but we are going to try talking to Glimmer tomorrow. Maybe she'll know something. She didn't sound convinced. Keith couldn't blame her for that. But who knew? Maybe Glimmer would surprise them. He wasn't sure he believed that Glimmer had truly turned against his mom, but his mom was also pretty creepy and evil, so maybe she finally scared Glimmer off. Will you let me know what she says? He asked. Of course, anything you want me to ask or tell her? Oh, he had quite a list, most involving words that would make Foster's innocent little ears burn. Nah, I'm sure you and Fitzy have it covered. Just keep me in the loop. Will do. They fell back into slightly painful silence before she added, What are you going to do tomorrow? Draw more memories? He probably should. He needed to sketch what happened in Lomnor, see if it helped him figure out what was happening to him right now. But he wasn't in the mood to relive it all yet. You know what might help? Sophie asked. Maybe you should try writing about the memories after you draw them. I remember learning that words and images are processed by different parts of the brain, so using both might help you discover new things. She went on for a few more sentences about the power of words, but Keith kept spent most of the speech imagining how she looked as she was saying it. She was so adorable when she was trying to get him excited about something. I guess I can give it a try, he agreed when she finally finished. You should, and you should also get some rest. You sound tired. So do you, he noted, and that was probably his fault. I think you need a Win and Luna Snugglefest tonight. I'm actually with them right now. Excuse me? You've been cuddling with baby alicorns this whole time and you didn't tell me? I need a mental picture of this immediately. Okay, hang on. His mind filled with what might have been the cutest thing he had ever seen. Foster leaning against the panic's trunk with Win's head resting in her lap and Luna trying on her back beside her, getting a major belly rub. Flowers drifted all around them, and the sky was the perfect dusky purple with tiny stars just starting to break through. Wish I was there, he told her, hoping it wasn't too snappy of a thing to admit. Sophie's reply was a soft, sweet whisper. Me too. For a second, Keith could imagine himself right there beside her, with her head resting gently on his shoulder, but he shoved the thought away as fast as he could, hoping she didn't notice. Get some rest, Foster. I will if you will. Keith smiled. Deal. He wasn't sure how long their minds stayed connected after that, but at some point he drifted off to sleep, and he didn't have a single nightmare. He looked so peaceful. I feel bad waking him, someone said, a voice that sounded familiar, but Keith's snoozing brain couldn't recognize it. Well then, I guess it's good thing I don't have any problem with it, someone else added, followed by a bone-shaking shout of, Wake up, hunky hair! Keith bolted upright, struggling to catch his breath as his heart slammed against his ribs and the room sharpened into focus. Rogue grinned. Looks like I need to start calling you Drooly Hair. Keith gave her an I will make you suffer later glare as he reached up to wipe his chin. Oh, hey, he mumbled when he noticed Dex hiding in the doorway, then sucked in a sharp breath and clamped his hand over his mouth. He speaks, Rose shouted, and once again the world did not end. More, more, more. Keith gave her a less than friendly gesture instead. Dex laughed. Sorry, Elvin sent me up here to wake you. My dad and I stopped with a few things we wanted to test to see if they held. Keith was on his feet immediately, wobbling as his body adjusted to being vertical. Hang on, Rose said, putting out her arms to block him. Shirt first, and maybe do something about that morning breath. Keith glared at her, but she had a point, so he grabbed the nearest tunic and pulled it on before changing some youth to rinse his mouth. Dex nodded. Nice pajamas. Keith hadn't even noticed what he was wearing, but it must have been something Elvin had given him. The bright blue fabric was covered in colorful mercats, which had all been dusted with glitter. He shrugged, dragging a hair through his wild hair as he followed Dex into the hall. Just so you know, It's about a it's about to get really loud, Dex warned. My dad thought it would be a good idea to bring the triplets for this, so he didn't need to finish the sentence. Keith could already hear the screaming. Dad, Lex keeps looking out of my window. It's not your window. Yes, it is. I'm standing in front of it. So am I. Now you're not. Dad, Rex shoved me into Bex and she smells like rotting flowers. Yeah, well, you smell like you've been rolling in poop. He was. No, I wasn't. Ow, don't poke me. Dex rubbed his temples as they headed downstairs. My mom keeps promising they'll calm down when they get older, but they're 12 now, so I don't think it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure they're going to beat your detention record this year. Not if I can help it, Ro jumped in. Hunky Hair and I still have plenty of chaos to cause, don't we? She held out a hand for a high five, but Keith kept right on walking. He couldn't imagine life ever being that normal again. Over here, Elvin called, gesturing for them to join him in the center of the giant main room, where he stood with Kesla in front of the swaying armchair. The triplets were way on the other side of the room, making different shadow animals in the multicolored light filtering it through the windows, which was good, since Keith could already feel crackly waves of their enthusiasm slamming against his senses. He was going to have quite the headache when they got closer. Sorry we woke you, Kessler told Keith. I was hoping you had already been up. Keith shrugged, trying to tell Kessler it wasn't a big deal. Okay, take a seat. Kessler patted the armchair. I'll try to make this quick. It's hard to know if I'm on the right track with something until I see how the Exila actually works. And these formulas are so specific to you, to what you're dealing with, that I have to test them on you. I thought it would be smart to test my prototype too, Dex added, pulling something small and silver out of his pocket, which kind of looked like a tiny metal egg. I'm sure it still needs some tweaks, but I'm hoping I'm close. He tapped the top of the egg and the gadget split open, revealing all kinds of cogs and circuitry neatly arranged inside. Ro whistled. You made that one in one night? Dex shrugged. It's not as complicated as it looks. Keith doubted that, and when he studied Dex closer, he could see dark shadows under his eyes. Dex must have stayed up all night working. And Kesla and Elvin looked just as exhausted. You okay there, Hunky Hair? Ro asked. Keith nodded, but his eyes felt a little watery. He wasn't used to people making those kind of sacrifices for him, and he could feel their concern drifting through the air, with no trace of any pity. I should probably explain how this is going to work, Kesla said, pointing to 3 wires on the small table next to the armchair. One green, one purple, and one orange. The plan is give it back, one of the triplets shouted, followed by a whole lot of squealing. Dad, stop crying to Dad all the time. I'm not crying. You're crying. I'll make you both cry. Ugh! Kessler sighed as Rex, Bex, and Lex charged past them like a strawberry blonde stampede. Sorry, I know the triplets can make things a little chaotic. A little? Dex cut in. Kessler rumpled Dex's hair, making the resemblance between the two of them even more noticeable. Okay, fine, a lot more chaotic, but that's why they're here. His periwinkle eyes focused on Keith as he said, I need you to get overwhelmed. I won't know if anything's working until you start to lose control. And for the record, I won't mind at all if you end up numbing my kids. I might even have you leave them that way. I could use a little quiet. Relax, Elvin said, blocking Keith from getting up. If all goes well, no one will end up numbed. And if they do, it's totally painless. And you already know how to fix it. Rex, Bex, and Lex also know what might happen, Kessler added, and they're good with it. Yeah, do your worst, one of them shouted. You'll never be able to numb me. Or me. Or me. Keith shook his head, even though he could definitely feel their conviction. I know there's a chance you might end up giving a different command, Elvin told him, before Keith could figure out how to convey that exact argument. That's why I'll be wearing earplugs, so I can step in if needed. So will I, Kessler promised. Me too, Dex agreed. Me three, Ro winked when she added, and I'll happily smack you around to snap you out of it. And yes, We realize there's still a small risk, Kessler admitted. But that's pretty normal for us. Yeah, my dad's always making us test his slurps and burps elixirs, Dex explained. One time he made all my hair fall out and gave the triplets explosive farts, and my mom got stuck with blood red teeth for a week. Oh, I might have to try that bloody teeth one, Ro cut in, puckering her red lips. And let's not forget that Dex has almost electrocuted me several times, Kessler noted. Not to mention that hole in the roof. Dex shrugged. It happens. So, see, nothing out of the ordinary around here, Kessler added. No need to look so worried. Keith shook his head again. He could definitely tell from everyone's emotions that none of them were the least bit concerned by this plan they'd come up with. But that didn't mean it wasn't a super bad idea. Look how scared he is, one of the triplets shouted as the stampede charged closer. Yeah, who knew the great Keith Sensen was so boring? He's not boring, he's cute. You, Bex likes Keith. So what if I do? Keith had never been so relieved to not have to come up with a reply, especially when Rex and Lex started making a bunch of really loud kissy noises and chanting. Bex wants to smooch him. Dex not laughed. Welcome to my life. Try not to be envious. Keith grinned at the joke, but honestly, when he looked at the crinkly smile on Kessler's face and the way he rested his hand on Dex's shoulder, Keith was envious. He would have fit in so much better with a loud, chaotic family. Instead, he had been stuck with. His thoughts were cut off when the triplets sprinted over, hitting him with such a strong blast of excitement, smugness, and pure energy that Keith felt his eyes start to glaze. Okay, let's get this going, Kessler told everyone. Earplugs in. Remember, this is the best way to find something to help you deal with this. It'll be okay, Elvin promised before popping two glittery blobs into his ears. Dex and Kessler did the same. Rose sighed and crammed hers in too. Even your earplugs are sparkly. You elves have serious issues. Kessler clapped his hands. All right, we'll start with the green and go from there. You guys remember what to do, right? He asked the triplets. Yep, they all said in unison, and the three of them laughed for Keith with flailing arms, like some sort of mutated kraken. Keith jolted as Bex grabbed his hand, and the two boys each grabbed his shoulder. But it wasn't just from the emotional bombardment. One of the boys' hand felt like ice searing his skin. Beck's grip felt weirdly squishy, and the third boy's touch was. Keith didn't even know how to describe it. There was something hollow about it, or maybe empty was a better word. All Keith knew was he didn't like it. He tried to twist away, but the triplets clung tighter than a Jaculus feasting on a T-Rex. And the more he struggled, the more they squealed and slammed him with more emotions and tightened their unsettling grips. He wanted it to stop, needed it to stop. And the moment he had that thought, a word started burning in his throat. Drink this, someone ordered, and Keith felt a vile press against his lips. He choked down the bitter liquid, coughing and hacking. Is that any better? The voice asked. Keith shook his head. If anything, the unspoken command seemed to be burn even hotter. He locked his jaw and pressed his lips tighter, sucking air in through his nose. Okay, but how about this one? Keith cracked his mouth open enough to gulp down something sludgy and sweet, which made his head feel like he was being stepped on by a mastodon. The command turned to fire in his throat, getting hotter and hotter and hotter. It had to stop. Someone, please make it stop. He gritted his teeth, biting back the plea, but his brain kept rattling with the word. Stop, 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 stop. I don't think that one helped either, the voice said, but I feel like the last one will do the trick. Keith gagged as the glowing sweetness hit his taste buds. Somehow he managed to choke the medicine down, and as it streamed across his throat, it did ease some of the burning. But it also made his heart race and his head spin, and the command was still there. It was just shifting into something else. He didn't need to stop this time. He needed it to. No, he couldn't let himself think of the word. He was too tired to choke it back. No, 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 no. All right, let's try it my way, a new voice said, and Keith felt something brush against his neck. I just clamped my gadget around your registry pendant, and it should obscure your tone if you try to give a command right now. It's okay, someone added as Keith shook his head. Remember, this is a test. Use your voice. Keith shook his head harder, which made everyone start chanting, use your voice, use your voice. Use your voice. The triplets tightened their grips and rocked his shoulders, thrashed his arms as the emotion reared into a frenzy. Keith couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't fight anymore as the command shifted back to the most basic need. Stop! He screamed, then slumped with sweet relief when the room fell blissfully silent. He took a slow, deep breath, revealing in the quiet before he forced his eyes open to see what he had done. And they were there, all three of the triplets, looking sort of stuck. Their eyes were wide, mouths open, limbs stiff, as if they'd been frozen somehow. Well, Dex said, through the fog of panic slowly filling the air, looks like we'll all have to go back to the drawing board.